Hi, guys. Hi, Cindy. Come here. Come. You want to sit in my lap? You got to come here. Come on. Come on, Baba. Okay. I see. You want it your way. So, hi, guys. Hi, Bjorn. Um. So, staying warm, I hope. Yeah, it's really not that cold outside. I mean, like it's cold, but it's not nearly as cold as like I remember last winter being at this time. Or rather, I wasn't here. I came here on January 1st last winter, but like it's still usually I feel like Ukrainian winters are colder than this. It's really not that bad outside. Um, it's honestly not surprising that people who want genuine freedom and separation from the imperialist totalitarian genocide of the Soviet Tsardom Federation are protesting against pro-Kremlin dictators. Yeah. Hi, Ono Carlos. Hi, Carolyn. Yeah, it is, and we're going to talk about it a little more today. In a minute. Hi, Demon Orb. Hi, Bjorn. Carlos, how was my day? Well, so I'm struggling a little bit. I'm on a struggle bus because, as I've mentioned, I think I say this every freaking time, and I'm sorry if you're tired of hearing it, but I have severe ADHD, and so that means that I fall into patterns very easily. And patterns can be good and patterns can be bad. And unfortunately, bad patterns are obviously easier to fall into because they're just like stuff that happens to you without you like trying for it. So when I was sick last week, I took medicine that put me to sleep, and I woke up like the next day at 5 p.m., which means that I haven't been able to go to bed earlier than 6 a.m. in the past week at all. And this is fine on weekends, which like, well, to be fair, it's really not fine because I just feel anxious when I wake up at like 5 p.m. and I'm like, what the fuck? I slept through the whole day. And so I'm having a really hard time getting out of this pattern, and I don't necessarily know how to. I got like sleep meds today that I'm going to take once this live is over. And hopefully I'm just going to go to bed earlier than freaking 6 a.m. because my schedule has been really, really good for months now. And I've been going to bed at like 11 and waking up at 8 or 9, and it's been great. And now I'm just really, because I don't want to wake up that late, you like end up wasting the whole day. But yeah, so this kind of has been my situation. I did wake up a little earlier than 5 p.m. today, but still, and I had a lot of stuff to do. I had a lot of like dog stuff to go pick up. I had to drive to my family friends and bring something that I borrowed from them back to them. I got stuck. So actually, this is a funny story. My family friends live just outside of Kyiv, but this just outside of Kyiv happens to be in like this very foresty area. And there is a normal highway leading to it with normal roads, and then there is like back roads through the woods with a literal like mud road that you can take to get there. And when I say mud road, I mean like dirt road. There literally isn't anything there like isn't a road there legitimately. And so my navigator for some reason always wants to take me through that dirt road that is like, and I mean it's not even like an actual road, like it wasn't there. It was it's like it's a field, and enough people have driven through that field that there are now track marks there from cars, so it's a road. And my navigator always took me through that road, and it was like, I mean, I usually just like turn around and like whatever, but I was driving in the dark. There was no light anywhere. It was really, really freaking dark. It's foggy, so high beams weren't really doing much. There is no service. I literally got lost, and it took me like 35 minutes to find my way back to the highway. And I was like genuinely incredibly scared, and I was getting like really pissy too, because it's like every single time Google Maps decides that this is the route, even though it's not an actual road. Like you have to get off the road and go into a field with track marks on it. And so I don't know if I need to like email Google Maps and just be like, can you please take this off as a route? Because this is not a real road. This is literally not a real road. Like this is dangerous for people. And I don't understand why on earth you're routing people through this as like the main route. Because it's not one time that it happened to me. It's like the third time at this point. And this time it happened to be at like 9 p.m. when it's pitch black outside. So anyways, I really want to, like, I don't know how to, I don't know if any of you actually know this. Can I like click on a specific route and just say like block that route and never take me through it again? Because like I just don't ever want to end up there again. Uh Set a roadblock on maps. Yeah, that's what I'm like trying to, how do I do that? How do I fix the situation? Uh Rick and Colucci say hi. I don't know who Colucci is, but hi, and hi Rick. Um West C says signs and chants don't do anything when votes don't matter. Maidan is a requirement here. No one has ever been given their freedom. Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna get to that in a second. I was just answering some prior questions, but yes, what's happening in Georgia is very significant, and they have tried protesting against their government a couple of times already, and it went into nowhere because people eventually gave up. But I'm really hoping that this time something comes out of it, because people seem to be really, really Привет, Vlad. People seem to be incredibly motivated to actually do something about it, and they understand that like it's not just some laws that this party is now changing. It's like they literally took the government by deception and um, by not force. You can't really. Okay, so someone, and I think it's Rob potentially, is on YouTube under my YouTube. Can you please log off of my YouTube, because one of you is an admin, and comment from your YouTube, because I'm actually going to go take this admin stuff away from people, because this is not the first time that it happens that someone just like goes onto their YouTube and accidentally logs into mine as an admin and then ends up commenting in my name, which really pisses me off. Okay, so whoever it is that's in my YouTube as an admin, as a moderating admin, get out. Also, hi. Sorry, I'm also like significantly I'm significantly like just I'm a little on edge today. So I'm sorry. I'm a little feisty. To block a road on Google Maps, navigate to the affected area on the map, long press on the road you want to mark as closed, select report a problem, and choose the road as closed option. Okay, I will do that. I will actually do that, because it's not a real it's the thing is, it's not a real road. So I don't even understand how it made it onto Google Maps to begin with. Like, it's a dirt road that isn't really a road. It's just like it became a road because enough people drove through the field and like left track marks. After the drive, I would be too. Well, yeah, I mean, that was a lot to process. But yeah, in Georgia, we were just talking. Okay, I'm like, I am hi Vasil. No, that's not Ukraine, babe, because there are plenty of roads in Ukraine that don't look like that, and most roads in Ukraine don't freaking look like that. And this is not somewhere deep in like the mountains or something. This is literally near Kyiv. See if iPhone Maps gives the same route. Yeah, I will see about that. Yeah, I'm having a really hard time focusing today, so sorry. Sorry, guys. There's like so many questions and so many comments, and it's good. I'm just having a really hard time focusing on one. So I guess let me say the hellos and let's start talking about Georgia. Deep in the mountains. Okay, well, Vasil, it's not a small town somewhere. It's not like far from Kyiv. It's literally right outside of Kyiv. Like, it's 5 minutes from Respublika Mall, which is like one of the biggest malls in Kyiv. So it makes no sense for that to be the case. Yes, there are dirt roads out in the country, not just in Ukraine. There are dirt roads out in the country in Canada. There are dirt roads out in the country in the US. So it's not unique to Ukraine, but dirt roads that are not really roads are not a thing right near a big city, and it's not a thing when it is actually damaging to most vehicles. Because like my car is really low and there is zero chance that I can pass through there without damaging my car from the bottom. So that should not be the default route on Google Maps. And it'd be okay if it was like a route that it would be like showing you, I don't know, after you've missed a turn or three, but it's the first default route that it shows you. And there is like a route straight off the highway that does not require any of this, like right away. So it makes no sense for that to be the default, because that's actually a longer route too. Okay, so thank you, Musical Melodian. All right. So Demon Orb already said hi. Hi Scott. Hi Prexis. Hi Wes. Hi Brian. Hi Mark. Hi Grant. Hi Cheryl. Hi Ozzy. Hi Bombi. Hi Elvin. Hi Dawn. Hi Leathercat. Hi Robbie. Hi Ozzy. Also, there is some troll on YouTube already. You gotta love the trolls. I'm sure that Grumpy has already kicked him out or someone else did. Hi Brian. Hi September Claire. Also, I think that's it on YouTube. And hello everybody on TikTok. Thank you, the dog picture. Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit. Hi United Europe. I wanted to talk a little bit about Georgia today because I'm sure that every one of our timelines is filled with protests in Georgia. Also, generally, my like TikTok timeline and my my TikTok timeline and my Twitter timeline, because I go in there sometimes still, is covered in like a bunch of European things, which is very interesting because my stuff on TikTok specifically is usually very much like stuff that comes up on everyone's FYP in America. So it's been very interesting because I'm getting a lot of stuff from the Northern Irish election, which I have no idea where that came from, but there is some, I suppose. So I really know nothing about the Northern Irish elections. So if I'm wrong, you please do correct me. But it looks like Sinn Féin and some other party were running, and usually Sinn Féin wins, and with like a high margin, I suppose. And then this other party has gotten a lot of. No, but Sinn Féin, is Sinn Féin in Ireland? Because as far as I know, Sinn Féin is in Northern Ireland. But anyways, so what I'm gathering, it's not northern. It's regular Ireland. Okay, fantastic. Well, this is how much I know about Irish elections. Um, Sinn Féin is in Ireland too. Oh wow. Okay, well then I literally have no clue of what's going on. Thank you, KT. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of the stuff on my timeline, and it's been like um in wider Ireland. Oh my gosh. But it's been like I've been seeing a lot of stuff from there. And as I said from the beginning, like I legitimately know nothing about the Irish elections, but I've been seeing a lot of people like prank calling their grandmas or something and saying that they're voting for this party, not like Sinn Féin, and seeing their reaction. So I'm assuming there is some big sort of opposition there as well, because it seems like that election is blowing up, which I've never genuinely before. I haven't seen anything about Irish elections. So it seems like there is some commotion there as well, which only shows me how fucked the world is because it seems like all of the elections everywhere just now have like two very polarizing forces and people fighting with each other about them. The two main rival parties, FF and FG, are likely to form government. I see. It would be like if Kamala were president for 2 years and then Trump for 2 years. They'll probably rotate. Oh, that's actually interesting, though. I still don't want Trump even if it was just for 2 years. The more you watch, the more TikTok pushes it to you. So I wasn't actually watching. Like I was scrolling and like I scrolled past like I think 15 videos of the Irish election until I was like, okay, well, what is happening there? And then it was just like the videos that weren't really explaining anything because they were sort of like videos meant for people in Ireland who know what's going on. So I wouldn't say I was actually watching a lot of it before it started just like flooding my FYP. Hi, Tom. Thank you. The good thing is all far right candidates have been rejected. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you go Ireland. Also, I have a little story today about Veritas is asking, what do you think about Lex interviewing Zelensky? I will talk about that in a second. So I have a funny story today. So my aunt went, well, it's not funny, but it's an interesting story, or at least I think so. Hi, Robert. So my aunt taught at the Cardiff University for 2 semesters because she teaches animation in Ukraine, and she went there in like an exchange program in the beginning of the full-scale invasion. So she's visiting Wales again. She's visiting Cardiff, and there is like a bench, and then like it's very holiday seasony, right? Like everything is covered in lights, and there is like a bench in the middle of like Cardiff, and at the top of this bench it says, "Give us your kuch," like kuchs, which like I'm mispronouncing the word 100%, but that means hug in Welsh. And so there are a lot of English people visiting Wales in the holiday season for some reason. And they're all like complaining about what the hell this word is and they can't read it. And they're like, this is from Anastasia's story. She was like saying she was standing near this bench and like the English people were standing there being like, oh, what fucking language is that? And like, what does it even say? Like, you can't read it and like, blah, blah. And that resonated so much with me because with like right with Wales, Ireland, and Scotland, England is a colonizer, and it's so freaking funny that English people would be coming to Wales and being like, "What word is that?" Like, you're in a different, like, you're not in England, you're in a different country. Just because it's a United Kingdom doesn't mean that Wales doesn't have its own language. It's Welsh. That's why you can't read it, you idiot. So it's like, for someone who is so like, annoyed with Russians coming to Ukraine, having come to Ukraine all of these years, and like making fun of our language, and like, and making fun of the fact that we use e's and they don't, and stuff like that. It just resonated so much, and Anastasia posted about it too, and she was like, "Oh, look at that, like colonizers coming to a different country and being surprised that they speak their own language. Who would have thought?" But so yeah, that's a little thing of from Wales. I'll show you what the bench looks like, just so you have an idea. And also, yes, I know how to spell. So Gremlin, I know how to spell kuch. I just don't necessarily know how to say it correctly. So one sec. I will show you what the give us a kuch here. So that's what it looks like. And Kutch is spelled as Cwtch. Um, so yeah, it's it's a different language, and it's funny that English people are like, "Oh, what is that?" Not funny, it's sad, but as in like, as a Ukrainian who's like, who's dealt with Russians who are like, "You have your own language," it's kind of, it resonated a lot. Um, hey, I love England, okay? I just really don't love England in the context of all of the countries that it's like controlling and, colonized. But yeah. So someone was asking, what do you think about Lex Fridman? Lex Fridman interviewing Zelensky. So most of you probably don't know this little fact, but Lex Fridman is Russian. Lex Fridman's real name is not Lex Fridman. I will tell you what it is, though. And Lex Fridman interviewed Ilya Ponomarenko, who is, his name, I forgot what his name is. It's like Alexei something. Like Lex Fridman is really his is his like nickname. So anyways, he's Tajik with a lot of Russian background and a lot of Russian roots and a lot of all of that. He definitely gets paid by Russia. Oh my god, hi Tawny. Sorry, I'm so excited to see you. With a lot of Russian roots and a lot of Russian connections. Like, he's not doing his podcast because he's like brainwashed and he actually believes all of this stuff. No, like, he's saying all of this stuff because he's paid to say that. In the beginning of the full-scale invasion, a couple of years ago, he actually interviewed Ilya Ponomarenko, which is who is one of the most famous Ukrainian frontline journalists, who is also one of the co-founders of Kyiv Independent. He did not release that interview. He has that interview. He didn't release it because it was a very honest point of view that was showing Russia from a terrible angle and was explaining exactly what was happening in Ukraine. He's not interested in showing the reality of the war. He's interested in propagating the Russian opinion. So what do I think about Lex Fridman interviewing Zelensky? I don't think it's going to change anything. And I don't think he's doing that with good motivations. I think he's doing that because he has a propaganda plot in mind. I think he's going to cut the interview. I think he's going to air it in a light that fits him. Like, if I were Zelensky, I wouldn't do it. But then again, like, how else do you reach the far right crowd that listens to people like Lex Fridman, Nick Fuentes, and and other assholes. Also, Joe Rogan declining to interview Zelensky after saying, "Oh, give me a drug test. You sound like you're Alexei Fedotov. There you go. It sounds like you're on cocaine. Like, let me do a drug test." Like, okay, sure. Zelensky literally is like, let's talk. And Joe Rogan declines because Joe Rogan doesn't want to talk to Zelensky because he's also paid to share only Russia's perspective. And it's funny because where did all of that freedom of speech go? Isn't Joe Rogan literally the whole like, oh, freedom of speech, Elon Musk bros, like, we can say whatever we want type of stuff, freedom of speech guy. Oh, so much for freedom of speech. Like, don't you want to give the freedom of speech to Zelensky, the guy who's the president of a country that you shit on every single day? Isn't that like, if you're so set in stone in your perspective and what's happening in Ukraine, if you're so like convinced that Ukraine is this bad place, why don't you let Zelensky speak? It's not going to change anything, right? Because like in the way that you portray it, um, your live contains themes that some may find uncomfortable and has been restricted. Submit feedback. Um, what? Okay, great. So live is restricted. His name is Alexei Fedotov. Yeah. Someone already said that. So his name is not actually Lex Fridman. It's Alexei. So Alexei, and his last name is Fedotov. He's Russian. Yeah, Joe Rogan literally spreads Russian propaganda. And then there is a Russian troll who says on YouTube, I don't think Lex Fridman is paid by Russia. I don't believe Joe Rogan is paid by Russia. Right. Thank you, Rune. Both of them are. And it's very evident from the fact that they're not even willing to consider another perspective or the other perspective of the people that are actually affected by this, right? But also both of these people have only brought in experts that were consistently wrong. The guy who was on Joe Rogan's podcast, who was like former CIA in 2022, quite literally said that Ukraine was going to fall before February, and then was saying like a lot of crazy stuff, and none of that happened. Every single guest that has been on both Lex Fridman and Joe Rogan is like a Russian sympathizer who says things that end up being wrong and don't end up happening because their analysis is based on like, Russia simping. The same person is saying he's not pretending. Lex is open about his Russian roots. Well, sure. I'm just saying that he's not. A lot of people don't know that he's Russian unless they listen to him because his name is not openly Russian. I'm just telling people that he is Russian. Like, I'm not saying that he's pretending to not be Russian. I'm saying that he is Russian and it's not evident from his name. Also, yes, he's very clearly paid by Russia, and so is Joe Rogan, because every single perspective that they have ever shared has been Russian perspective. And it's not because they're ignorant. They have been given a million opportunities to share the actual perspectives of Ukrainians, but they don't. And if they're so set in their views, then why are they so scared of letting people on their program that are actually going to tell the truth? Because they know that it's going to start resonating with people, and they know that boxes are going to start clicking because their propaganda is going to be dispelled by this simple fact that this is not true, and people who are living in it are going to share what's really happening. So that's why they don't want those people on their podcast. They continuously keep saying like, oh, Zelensky should just talk to me. Oh, Zelensky should just give me a drug test. Oh, Zelensky should just this. Zelensky has literally requested to be on every single one of these podcasts. Yeah, Lex Fridman now wants to interview him and come to Kyiv to do so. Let's see if he's going to do it. Saying it is one thing, doing it is another thing. But also, like, podcasts get edited. They get edited in the end. Thank you, Caitlin. They get edited in the end. And so I wouldn't bank on the fact that like, oh, he's willing to like interview Zelensky. He's going to edit it down to the narrative, that he's going to want. I don't think that it's a great idea to go on that podcast. And I don't think that the host of the podcast, which is Lex Fridman, is interested in actually sharing the truth. He's interested in propagating the narrative that works for him. He's also incredibly misogynistic. He wants, like, the US to be a theocracy. He's incredibly racist. He's incredibly, like, misogynistic. He's an all-around asshole. He's like a far right wing asshole. And I genuinely don't think that any big worldwide figures should be giving him the time of day, because by agreeing to do interviews with him, they're just giving him more of a platform. It's so disgusting, genuinely. Because, like, I understand that he shits on a lot of stuff, and so people want to protect their name, and they want to go on there, and they want to, like, say their part. But at the same time, like, giving an outwardly racist, bigoted, misogynistic guy who thinks that women's bodies should be a men's choice, and who thinks that, like, women are not supposed to have bodily autonomy, and who thinks that immigrants need to be deported, and who thinks that women shouldn't vote, and all of that stuff, giving him more of a platform is really not fixing it. Can someone please block the AJ Psy person? Because at this point, I think if you want to change the rhetorical message, you shouldn't spread such hatred. Yeah, right. I shouldn't spread hatred. I am not spreading hatred. I am speaking facts about the people that you are so vehemently defending in my comments. However, these people are actually spreading hatred by saying that women's bodies shouldn't belong to them, by saying that immigrants are all bad, by saying that they should all be deported, by literally saying that women should not vote, and women should be subservient to men, and that women should be able to go to college, and women shouldn't have an opinion. That's hatred. Racism, xenophobia, bigotry, all of that is hatred. What I'm saying is just clear facts about these people who shouldn't be given a platform to speak. Because the more high figures go there and give them credibility, the more they will have of that platform. So yeah, I don't think that Lex Fridman interviewing Zelensky is going to change anything. I think Lex Fridman interviewing Zelensky is just going to be Lex Fridman continuing his narrative. Thank you, Liv. I really appreciate it. So, to any of you who are able to subscribe to the live membership on TikTok or to the channel membership on YouTube, I really, really, really highly suggest and recommend that you do, or on Patreon, because it really does help me stay afloat and pay the bills. And also, if you specifically subscribe, then that kind of shows me a monthly picture. This is a large part of my income, and it really, really does help when people sign up. And when I say a large part of my income, I don't mean I make a lot of money on social media. Actually, this month, I think I'm going to make $200 off of the videos that I posted, which is wild, because the month before that, my payout was $16 for the videos or something like that. Actually, I'll tell you exactly what my payout was like. So this is to, also to the people who legitimately say that I make money off of this and that I'm doing this for money. My creator fund was, my latest payout from creator fund was $6.11. And this is my estimated rewards for this month. $6.11. And this is my estimated payout for this month, which is like never happens. This is like a wow month for me on TikTok. So if you subscribe to the membership, or you send gifts on TikTok, or you send supers on YouTube, or subscribe to Patreon, then it really does help me. I really do appreciate it. So if you have an opportunity to do that, I really, 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 really appreciate that, and really encourage you to do it, because it does help me a lot. So yeah. And I showed you my creator fund because transparency, because I feel like I've actually had some trolls be like, oh, she's lying, she's making money on this. Like, yeah, $6.11, guys, was my latest payout for last month. So like, yeah, I'm making bank. I'm rolling in dough, one would say. Anyways, Georgia, which is what we started, which is what this live is supposed to be about. So what's happening in Georgia is the pro-Russian party in Georgia basically meddled with the election. They falsified the results of the election, and they gained power in Georgia. The Georgian president, Salome Zurabishvili, is not pro-Russian. She is pro-European and she's pro-Georgian freedom and she is with the people, right? The people of Georgia want to be in Europe. The people of Georgia don't want to have anything to do with Russia. They want to separate from Russia. They don't want to be under Russia's imperial rule. So a couple of things have been happening in the past 2 years. There have been a lot of laws that would basically put Georgia closer to Russia and further away from its European path. That this pro-Russian party tried to install, and Georgian people have been protesting. The last time they were able to delay the implementation of the laws, but not, but they weren't able to actually get the party out. So this time around, during the election, the party was supposed to lose because most of the people weren't voting for it, and the votes weren't making sense. There were a lot of like inconsistencies, very clearly a Russian hand in it. And the party is not just a pro-Russian party, they're like a Russian shill party. Like they're doing Russia's bidding and they're Russian puppets, and they want Georgia to be under Russia's imperial rule, and they want Georgia to be further from the West. So the people came out to the streets and started protesting. And this time these protests are getting more and more violent. And this reminds me of how Maidan started. I've seen a lot of people in the comments under these protests saying, very specific people saying that it's not nearly the same as Maidan because, you know, these protests are only happening in Tbilisi, and it's easy to gather people in Tbilisi. First of all, it always starts from the capital. Maidan started from Kyiv. Like, yes, there were supporting movements of Maidan in all Ukrainian cities, but the majority of the movement was happening in Kyiv because that's also where most of the government authorities are. And this type of like a revolution doesn't spread to smaller cities unless like Russia comes in and starts taking city administrations, which is what was happening in Ukraine. And that's why Maidan was happening in like smaller cities, but in reality, it's mostly going to be concentrated in Tbilisi. And I think this is Georgia's like last real chance to get away from Russia. And I really, really, really hope that they succeed. The only issue that goes on with protests like that is that you can't, when votes don't matter, the only thing that solves the issue is blood. And unfortunately, for Georgia to be able to overthrow this government, there is going to have to be blood loss, because that's what also happened in Ukraine. And it's not going to be possible to just protest. You're going to have to, like, there is going to have to be altercations with the police, and there are already altercations with the police. And trust me, Georgian people are doing a lot. I'm just saying that unfortunately, revolutions like that turn bloody. And if they don't succeed. Oh, thank you, Liv, for subscribing to the live feature on TikTok. I really do appreciate it. And I really, really, seriously, I appreciate it so much. We're actually at 48 subscribers out of the goal of 91. So if anyone wants to make my day and become the 49th and the 50th subscriber, I would be super, super grateful. There were massive, thank you, Matthew. Thank you so much. There were massive demonstrations in other cities this evening. Yes. The only thing so I've been reading a lot of Ukrainian content on Twitter and on Threads and on Blue Sky and basically on Telegram about Georgian protests, right? So two things first. One, Georgia's real name is Sakartvelo. They don't really necessarily mind being called Georgia. They do mind being called Gruzia, which is a Russian name of Georgia. And the reason why they're called Georgia is from Russian Gruzia. So their actual name of the country is Sakartvelo, and the people there are Kartveli. So as much as Ukrainians are fighting to see Kyiv and Odessa, not Kiev and Odessa, and Kharkiv, not Kharkov, and Lviv, not Lvov, and Zaporizhia, not Zaporozhye, I think we should be fighting for Georgia to be known as Sakartvelo on the world stage, not Georgia. And also, it's easier for Americans because that way you don't have to say Georgia the state or Georgia the country, because you will know exactly what you're talking about, because obviously there is not a city or state in America called Sakartvelo. Well, maybe there is a city. But point is, Georgia is erupting in protests. I've been seeing quite a bit of Ukrainian content about this, especially from Ukrainians in Georgia and Ukrainians that know a lot about Georgia. The only mistake, I suppose, that we are seeing in Georgia as Ukrainians who have done this is that people are not protesting overnight. They're protesting, like protests stop into the night or have been stopping in the past couple of days. I don't know what happened tonight. And then people come, but people do come back in full force at like 7 a.m. The thing is, there should probably be camps, because the more people just go away for the night, the more police forces will be able to accumulate. But I generally, like, I'm not here to like be like, oh, they're doing this wrong or they're doing that wrong, or they could be doing this or they could be doing that. Like, honestly, I so hope that this works for them. And as someone who knows what happens in revolutions like that, I feel really bad, because I know that it's going to have to take blood for it to actually work. And obviously, no one wants to see Georgian people hurt. But in Ukraine, for instance, we have the Heavenly 100, which is 100 people that died during the Maidan revolution, right? So, and that's a lot of lives to pay for freedom, right? But freedom doesn't come free. And it's really, really heartbreaking. And it's both heartbreaking and inspiring to see this happen in another country, because because it's just like, it's so sad that it has to come to this. And Ukrainians have been posting this message that I really love, and it's kind of like two different nations or two different people, same goal. And it's Ukraine, it's photos from Ukraine's Maidan, and then photos from what's happening in Tbilisi and in Georgia in general. And it's so true, because it is two different peoples, right? And same goal, and that is to stop Russia's grip, and that is to stop Russia's expansionism and Russia's imperialism, to just have Russia leave us alone. And it's thank you, Liv. And oh my gosh, thank you. And it's so incredibly upsetting to have to see this happen to other people. And I wish that, like, it didn't have to happen this way, and I wish that it didn't go this far. And unfortunately also, people don't start acting until it's way too late, or until it comes to that. And I stand with the Georgian people, and I really hope that everything works out for them, because at this point it's genuinely the same as what Ukraine has been going through. Hi, Kathleen. Sorry, I don't think I said hi. Russia installs its government in Georgia, and of course, the goal of that government is to sabotage Georgia's EU bid. The goal of this government is to get Georgia closer and tighter under Russia's grip. The goal of this government is to spy on people and monitor people a lot more than they already are. The goal of this government is to turn Georgia into a dictatorship and into like a regime, right? And I'm so happy that the Georgian president, Salome Zurabishvili, is with the people, and I'm so happy to see that Georgia is fighting so ardently, ardently against this. And it's so, it's so absolutely, it's so sad to see that this has come to this. Also, Caitlin, you're saying that you're scared of the upcoming election. Which country are you? Okay, Cindy, which country are you in? Sorry, that was my dog. Are you good, bud? You good? You okay, buddy? Okay. Do you guys see Cindy? Like, you on YouTube, do you see her? Because my phone is like blocking this part of it, like this part of the screen, so I can't see anything there. I live in Canada. Oh, I mean, yeah, far right parties are on the rise everywhere, but I have hope for Canada, honestly. Gesundheit. I'm sure she says things. Yeah. Also, there is dog number 2 right here. I don't know. Here is a paw. I'm sure you're not going to be able to see it on YouTube, but you're going to be able to see it here. Also, Ozzy, I don't know if I said thank you for gifting a YouTube membership on YouTube, but thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. Sorry, sometimes I see something and I think that I said something, that I like commented on it, and then I realize that I absolutely did not. So I'm sorry. Again, ADHD. But yeah, I really I wanted to show you some clips from what's been happening in Georgia, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to myself on I'm going to send it to myself on this computer and show it to you, because also protesters in Tbilisi were carrying a Ukrainian flag.
Донести всім батькам. Як би ви, зручно, як завгодно. Але ви...
Okay, so give me a second. I am trying to just find, because I reposted a lot of them, and I like hate Twitter so much. But oh, thank you, Marks. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate that. It's really sweet of you. Okay, so there are some videos that I find to be so inspiring to show how much people are not willing to just put up with Russia shit anymore in Georgia, and I really want a lot of you to see it. All of you to see it, to be honest. But here, one second. I'm going to show YouTube this first, of course. Share screen, YouTube. 1 second. Okay, so I'm also going to show this to you on here. Also, give me 1 moment. I don't want myself in there. I want this full screen. Oh, no, here. Yeah, okay. So these are some scenes from the Georgian protests that were very inspiring. There is more, but wait, there is more. So let me go. Oh, how do I go to my own page? Okay. No. Here. So it's Premium's birthday, 40% off for a limited time. Is that because a lot of people left Elon and you're not making nearly as much money anymore? This scene is so inspirational from Georgia. They're being blasted with water and with water cannons, and they're like, nope. Then there is, so if I go on my Twitter timeline, literally most of the content that I'm seeing here are protests from Tbilisi, which is fantastic to see. So this is a kid who also came out to protest, which is incredible. This is the aerial view from what's happening in Georgia.
იმიტომ რომ ჭირს სუნთქვაც და ახლა მე მეწვის თვალების. საკმაოდ დიდი რაოდენობით იყენებენ. ფაქტიურად არ წყდება ნაკადი, ხედავთ.
So this water cannon is mixed with pepper spray. They have been very cautious about advancing without cannons. Any idea how to knock the out of So this is a Georgian person posting and asking sort of how to how to fight against that. But also, like, to be fair, they're just, for right now, one of the things that's good is that the government is not actually using like BB guns or bullets or anything like that. Russia uses veto to end UN investigation of Syria chemical attack. Of course. Epic. Imagine having access to treasure trove of genuinely hilarious videos from Zelensky's comedy career and still choosing to spread a fake one. Yeah, this is a fake video, actually. But yeah, so also this guy, yeah.
region, this very area that you're referring to, and
So
I spoke to
this is actually a clip from Lex Fridman that I wanted to show. So okay, let me go back here and talk about Georgia before I show you this, because it's from a separate. It's from Lex Fridman and from him interviewing people that are absolutely unqualified to give their opinions, and their opinions never come to fruition. But so hi Martin, hi K-Bell. So yeah, so one of the things that's happening in Georgia that actually is much better than what was happening in Ukraine, which I'm happy that that they're not getting what we were getting, but like people were shooting at us. There were there were snipers who were being shot at. Peaceful protesters were being beaten with batons, which is already happening in Georgia too, but they're not using weapons, at least quite yet, on the protesters. I think it's just for now because they think that they can still disperse the protests without it. So I'm very happy that that there is no like harm like that being done, but I don't think that that's for a long time. I think that's coming, and I think unfortunately there are going to be many more people who are going to be suffering from that. Also, K-Bell, thanks to whoever gifted me a membership. That was Aussie. Also, hi Mark Magiera. Hi Mark. Yeah, so it's it's very crazy to see. And I genuinely, I don't know what's going to happen. Georgia has had a couple of attempts and at freeing themselves from this party, and it seems like this one is finally like this was the straw that broke the camel's back. In this case, the back of the pro-Russian government that was installed there. And it does seem like this protest is very different from the previous protests because there are way more people. The people are not giving up. They're coming every single day. It's getting more and more intense each day. I've seen videos of protesters being beaten up, unfortunately. I've seen a lot of really heavy stuff happening there, and people are still protesting. People are not leaving. It's it does look very intense, and I feel really bad for the Georgian people, and I really I mean I sympathize with them to the point of no return, because as a Ukrainian, of course, we know what it's like. And it's super upsetting that this has to be, that this has to happen for Georgians to get their freedom. And yeah, of course, there are a lot of journalists on Twitter reposting protests. And here is Pekka Kalaniemi saying Georgia is going full Euromaidan, and the pro-Kremlin bloc is doing what they do best: intimidate, imprison, and beat up people. Stay strong, my Georgian friends. You will prevail. You know what's interesting? I actually saw a couple of videos. Videos, and that were showing the difference between, the protests in Belarus that Belarusians love to talk about as if they actually tried to do something, and the difference between the protests in Russia and Belarus, and the difference between the protests in Georgia and Ukraine. So like the Russian and Belarusian protests have lines of people waiting to be loaded into police vehicles by the police. Give me one sec. I'm trying to understand if there is an air raid. Confused? No, I think that was just... No, it seems like it was just a similar sound. How do you think the Russians who ran to Georgia for an escape are doing? Oh, I mean, on Telegram, Russians in Georgia are like, oh, they're going to come and straighten you out too. Like, Russians didn't run to Georgia because they don't agree with Putin or the regime. Like, Russians are not, like, Russians who are in Georgia, most of them are not pro-democracy. They ran because of sanctions, because they don't want inflation and they want to earn reasonable money. Hi, Winston. Thank you so much for the rose. They did not run because they actually genuinely disagree with what Russia is doing. Like, Russians in Georgia telegrams are swarming with people supporting the Georgian regime and like making fun of Georgians and being like, yeah, finally Russia is here. Like, ha ha ha, we're gonna straighten you out. Like, they're not... How are they feeling? They're feeling like the imperialist dickheads that they are. been openly wondering if Georgians in Ukraine are being released from their contracts to go to Tbilisi. I'm sure that they can abandon their contract if they want to, but because this is not military action per se, it's civilian action. I don't think that Georgians are in military contract service are going to be breaking their contracts to go to Tbilisi. I think they will do that if it breaks out into like a civil war, but I do not think that they're going to be doing that unless they're absolutely necessary there, because it's two separate things. You know, like front lines and civilian protests, even if they're violent, are very different. But yeah, so there is a lot going on in Georgia, and Russians in Georgia are not. They're not being. They're not, they're not being, they're not being supportive of Georgians. They're being supportive of the Russian regime, and that's just all you need to know about Russia. You know, the good Russians that fled, those that fled because they don't agree with the regime. I mean, to be fair, like, I don't want to air personal details of like family friends that I hear, but I have family friends who moved here from Russia. And they moved here from Russia 15 years ago or 20 years ago. Actually, I think 20 years ago now. 20, yeah, maybe more than 20 years ago now. I think Sasha was 5. So probably a little over 20 years. And they have been in Ukraine this whole time. They're incredibly pro-Ukrainian. They're very good people. I love them very much. They're, like, there is no question. There is like, I have nothing to say about them. They're fantastic. They do have relatives in Russia. Like, they have, sisters and brothers and cousins in Russia that they're close family, right? And one of the cousins works with Iran in Russia and makes a boatload of money. And him and his sister, they want to leave Russia, right? And they're looking for avenues to leave Russia and live somewhere else. And they understand that Russia is wrong, yada yada yada, right? Yet he's still making a lot of money. Like he lives in Moscow and he makes a boatload of money. I mean, like he's a very wealthy guy, right? And he's still choosing to work with Iran because obviously he wants to make a boatload of money, not just work in Russia and make some money, right? It's a lot more convenient to understand what's going on and be against it and make a boatload of money, but then just say that, it's sad. But he works with Iran that sends missiles to his family homes in Ukraine every day. And I understand that sometimes it's really hard to see, past that, and sort of like, it's your family. So you look at them differently, right? But I just, like, I really don't like talking to them about their relatives in Russia and what they do. And I understand that, they're trying to get out and they're looking for ways actively to like get a citizenship in other countries or like whatever. But they're choosing to work with the Iranian government to make money because obviously they want to live a comfortable life in Russia, right? And they want to have quite a bit of money. And to me, these two things are just not, like, they don't combine. It's like you can't be saying that they're reasonable people who have reasonable views, who are so understanding of everything that's happening, and then also at the same time be okay with the fact that they work with Iran and make money there, right? And I just like I don't know. I mean, I know these people also since I was a kid because they've visited many times when we used to live across the hall from each other. And so I know their cousins and I've met them many times. I personally don't like the guy cousin, the one that works with Iran way before, Russia invaded Ukraine or anything. It's just like, I don't like his personality. He's not my type of person, like he's the type of person I would never be friends with. And in fact, I was never getting along with because he was just annoying to me. But personal like preferences aside, like this idea of like of yeah, I don't know. To me it's hard to see that as like as reasonable, and to me it's hard to like find excuses for that, and I don't want to. But I I love my family friends. Like, they're great. You know, they have done a lot for Ukraine. They have done a lot of advocacy for Ukraine. There is no, like, I just really want to, like, make sure that that's understood. Like, I have zero questions to them. As in, like, I respect them. I love them. They're amazing. And I understand that they are looking at their family members from a very different view than I'm looking at their family members. I care about this family and I care about them, but I don't care about the people that I've met a couple of times in my life that I didn't like, right? And it doesn't help that these people are also literally, like, making buttloads of Russian money off of Iran. Like, and I'm pretty sure that they're making money, like the Iran money that they're making has to do with, like, the drone industry and technology, which is even more like, how can you justify that? I'm originally from Romania. Trust me, Russia and China are playing the same dirty, unconventional warfare games there too. Romania could turn into another Georgia soon. Yeah, I've been seeing what's been going on with Romania. Honestly, the election stuff is ridiculous. Thank you, Liv. Thank you so much for the gift. Biden just pardoned his son Hunter. Yeah, I actually just saw that as a news alert on Instagram, and I don't like. I mean, it's predictable, right? Like, we all knew this was going to happen. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that because it's nepotism. I wouldn't say, like, that this is the greatest choice, but also, like, I understand him and I understand why he did that. But I do think that the Republicans are only going to use that against against um um against against Biden and against his administration and against, yeah. But I do understand why. Also, like, his son committed blue collar crime, not something actually incredibly dangerous. So yeah, but it's funny because I already see MAGA commenting, when Trump pardons everyone from January 6th, don't come don't come to me, or, like, don't come at me and, like, whatever. And it's like, like, it's different. Eh, like, these are violent people who broke into the Capitol, and this is blue collar crime. Like, super different. I mean, white collar crime, super different. Um, but yeah. Also, a lot of it is, like, conspiracies stemming from Republicans trying to implicate Hunter with some, like, Ukraine stuff that never existed. But yeah, also, here is what I wanted to show you on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. X. So here is this Lex Fridman podcast where he's talking to this former CIA agent, or I think he's either an FBI agent or a former CIA agent. And here's what this agent was saying. This was in 2022.
I was on the front in the Kherson region, this very area that you're referring to, and I spoke to a lot of people, and the morale is incredibly high. And I don't think the people in that region, soldiers, volunteer soldiers, civilians, are going to give up that land without dying.
I agree with you.
Yeah, it just breaks my heart how much, I know that there's Yemen and Syria and
That nobody talks about anymore. Still raging conflicts going on.
it breaks my heart how much generational hatred is born. I happen to be from my family is from Ukraine and from Russia, and
Hi,
so for
Christine.
me, just personally, it's a part of the world I care about in terms of its history. Because I speak the language, I can appreciate the beauty of the literature, the music, the art, the
Oh.
cultural history of the 20th century. Through all the dark times, through all the hell of the dark sides of authoritarian regimes, the destruction of war, there's still just a beauty that I'm able to appreciate that I can't
Oh.
appreciate about China, Brazil,
Oh,
other
beauty
countries
of
because I
Russia,
don't
huh?
speak their language. This one I can appreciate. And so in that way, this is personally really painful to me to see so much of that history, the beauty in that history, suffocated by the hatred that is born through this kind of geopolitical game.
Yeah, so geopolitical game and the beauty of Russian history is being suffocated through the geopolitical game. This is a man that's supposedly not paid off by Russia, who's talking about the war in Ukraine and people in Kherson dying for their land and their beliefs. And he talks about the fact that that he's upset because Russia's culture and history is being suffocated. Yeah, totally unbiased person who's talking about death and destruction in the front line and in Ukraine and what Russia is doing to Ukraine and is upset because Russia's culture and history is being suffocated. The unbiased Lex Fridman. Mhm. Mhm. People like him piss me off more than than anyone because it's like you 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 are a piece of shit. Like you know what's happening. You've seen what's happening. You said that you were at the front line in Kherson and you still are more upset about Russia's culture than you are about what Russia is doing to Ukraine. He also conducted interviews at the front. He interviewed Ilya Ponomarenko and he never released that footage. Why? Because he knows that then his supporters, the people that listen to his podcast, would actually would be on the side of Ukraine because they would hear real people who are suffering from this invasion. Hi, Michael. He said he has Ukrainian family. Is that a lie? No, I mean, like, he probably has, like, some cousins or second cousins or something in Ukraine. He's Russian. Like, his family immigrated from Russia, and he was born in Tajikistan. Ah, Sir Michael of Anna. He withheld the interviews, pretty shady. Well, he withheld the interviews because he knew that these interviews would reveal the real picture of what's happening in Ukraine, and he could not be pumping people full of like the, oh, I'm so sad about Russian culture. And this is Lex Fridman for you. Seen one. That's the guy that might interview Zelensky for 3 hours. Yes, it is. All right, you guys, I'm starting to cough and it's 2:49 in the morning. So I'm going to go take my sleep meds and try to sleep. I also might eat a yogurt, which is something I shouldn't be doing, honestly. Last thing I need is to be eating at 3 in the morning, but hi, iBag. But I'm actually going to do a live during the day tomorrow, so your morning. So please tune in. I am not sure what time in the morning, but probably like before work in the morning, like probably your 7 a.m. It's like my 2 p.m. or like 8 a.m. or something. So yeah. And if you're in Europe, then it's going to be normal time, lunch break. I don't know. And I'm going to try to like run over the news and talk. So I figured I'd be doing one live stream during the week that's going to have more like newsy stuff. And it's going to be during the day or like your or North American morning. So that's what I'm going to try and do in the future. So yeah. And I also might go back to streaming my lives through Twitter as well, because as much as I hate that platform, there are a lot of people that still care about Ukraine and follow Ukraine. So I might do that. Oh, thank you, Ashley. Thank you for the super chat. Collaborators in Georgia will learn the meaning if the of the word consequences when the wolves come home. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I honestly think that this time might be the time for Georgia. Like it does look like this is different from every single other time that they've tried to protest, and I really do think that this is heating up, and this is getting to a point where the Georgian people might get their freedom. Thank you, iBag, for gifting one Yulia membership. I really appreciate it. One membership to the YouTube channel. I really do hope that the Georgian people get their freedom, and I really do hope that they defeat their freaking Russian puppet government once and for all. And I really wish them all the best. And I will be monitoring the situation. And I mean, I stand with the people of Georgia through all of this, and I really hope that things change for them. Um, I just know that freedom in situations like that does not come without bloodshed, and that is absolutely incredibly sad. Okay. Will Russians go in? I don't think so. I mean, they might do the same thing as they did in Ukraine. They might come in and annex more territory or try to annex more territory. We will see. But they're not going to go in, like the military is not going to come in to push down the civil uprisings, although we don't know, because they might know that Ukrainians were able to defeat our puppet government in 2014. So I don't know. We will see. But then Georgia has a pretty strong military at this point, and also I think that Europe will help the Georgian military if Russia's military goes in. But also Russia doesn't have enough military right now to throw into Georgia. All right, you guys. I will see you tomorrow during the day. We'll talk about news, and good night to those of you who are going to bed, and have a good evening the rest of your day. To those of you who are still, in daytime. Okay. Bye, guys. Maeve? 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 Hey, buddy. That's just snow coming down the windows. Okay, Maeve. Buddy. That's just snow rolling off of the windows. Okay. You good? Do you want to go back to sleep? Are you okay? Yeah. Go back to bed. Yeah. You good, buddy? Thank you for protecting us, bud. You're very brave. Yes, that was so brave of you, buddy. I know. You were so brave. You should see Cindy's face right now. Cindy is like, what the fuck was that? I'm like petting Maeve for being brave, and Cindy's like, Cindy is giving shade. Okay, you good? Go back to sleep. All right. Yes. No. Please don't think that you need to be doing the same thing for me to like give you praise and stuff. Like, you don't need to be doing that for praise. Really. Okay. All right, you guys. I'm gonna go to sleep.